Hello, my dear friends and family. Captain Starsky joins the chat. How are you, my dear friends? I hope that you have some coffee there. I definitely do. So good to see you, my friends. So good to see the whole family there in the chat, as always. Before we talk about our main topic of today, all right, let's briefly check out something very, very special. Our fundraiser for a truck for my guys in Rubizh. All right, we are almost there, my friends. We almost gathered almost 9,000 euro that will go to those sexy mofos in the shape of a truck from Car for Ukraine. So, first of all, I would like to say big thanks to everyone who donated there. You can see their names. Some of them are, of course, decided to stay anonymous. But besides that, we can see a lot of very, very decent and brave people over there. My friends, thank you so much for donations. Thank you so much for helping my brigade. It's very, very important to me personally. Those guys are currently, again, it's not me, it's from Mark, all right? I just retransferred. Those guys are currently operating in some of the hottest spots in Pokrovsk, which is basically where my brigade is always operating. Some freaking some ass of the world, all right? Some of the hottest spots, it was like that since 2017 at least. So thank you so much for your help and your support, my dear friends. Today we will, of course, check out the recent updates. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about something different because, again, you know, when I don't monitor updates and news from Ukraine and beyond, I often check out the updated databases on Epstein, of course, because this is something that I dedicate a lot of my time to. Reason number one, of course, because I want to understand the Epstein's connections to Russians, and we know that he had quite a few of those, right? Churkin, my God, Jabrailov, Pazhedaeva, all that stuff, Belyakov. Hello to beautiful Germany, hello to Tennessee and Netherlands and Australia and all the beautiful countries. Hello, hello. So we know that he had a lot of those connections, and we know that some of them were very, very, let's say, tight, all right? And we also know that besides that, Epstein was related to some pro-Russian Ukrainians and some pro-Russian politicians. We gotta talk about all that because it's very, very important. California, hello Elizabeth. So, I was literally scrolling through Epstein's flight logs, stuff like that, and one particularly interesting data, all right, that I obtained was that it looks like Epstein, or even if it wasn't Epstein, but it was his aircraft, with basically Jeffrey Epstein on board. Also there was Chris called Maxwell. They had a flight to Kyiv in 2005. It was in March. And I asked myself, what the fuck could he do in Ukraine in 2005? Why would he go to Kyiv? Was it like trafficking related or something like that? Because generally, besides this record, we don't have literally anything else, all right? We don't know who met him there, how much time he spent there. We don't know pretty much anything. But based on the situation, which was developing in Ukraine in 2005, March 2005, that is after the Orange Revolution in Ukraine. Just to remind you, 2005 was the year when we had repeated elections, because in 2004, Yanukovych, the Ukrainian dictator currently hiding on the territory of the terrorist federation, forged elections massively. And we had a huge revolution, we had a huge trial. Trial also confirmed that the son of a bitch actually forged the elections, he stole our votes, and then we had repeated elections after that, and majority of people voted for his opponent, opponent of Viktor Yanukovych, the pro-Russian fact. His opponent was Viktor Yushchenko. You probably remember him. It was a pro-European democratic guy. He was poisoned by dioxin, as far as I remember. And that was literally the period of time when we have that flight log. I will check it several more times. I saw the original document, original scan of that flight log, and I am not very sure if the place they're talking about is Kyiv, even. All right, and besides that, my friends, we're still talking about as much as 1 or 2% of all the Epstein's data. But if he actually went there immediately after the Orange Revolution, Ukrainian Democratic Revolution, when Ukrainians stepped up and said, we have rights, we have dignity, we won't allow you to steal our votes, then questions emerge. Why did he go to Ukraine in 2005? 20 years ago, right? 21 years ago. So I have several ideas on that. But besides that, again, according to what we know, according to the data, right, he was also in Kyiv in October 15th. There is also data indicating that he traveled to Kyiv and landed in Juliany, but I think it was maybe just a bit later, because Juliany started receiving jet aircraft, I believe, later, maybe after the Revolution of Dignity, something like that. So was it related to his sex trafficking? And if he actually landed in Kyiv in March 2005, why was that? What was the reason? So just a couple of words on the situation in Ukraine back then. We had peaceful democratic revolution. The court confirmed that Yanukovych stole elections, that he forged the votes, and we had re-election, all right? We elected, we voted one more time. President Yushchenko becomes a president. His wife was a US citizen, Katerina Yushchenko, by the way, I met her personally. His wife was a US citizen with plenty of connections in the United States, obviously plenty of connections in the United States Agency for International Development and things like that. So she basically knew all the American establishment, and she had some very, very good connections, not only in the United States, in Europe as well. But what if he wanted to try and find a leverage? Why I'm talking about this? Because as soon as Yanukovych lost elections, and by the way, Yanukovych, as far as I remember back in those days, in 2004, 2005, he went to Severodonetsk, where all the pro-Russian forces in Ukraine, they had that huge orgy they proclaimed that if democratic forces in Ukraine win, then they will separate into a separate, I don't know, like republic or whatever. It was already announced back then in 2005. So there was already like a case of separatism coming directly from a presidential pro-Russian candidate. Because we know that Epstein had many connections with Russians, a lot of business, his different assistants were Russian. We know that he also had connections with Russian oligarchs, and he also kind of supported pro-Russian politicians in Ukraine. Maybe, again, that is this one, all right? Maybe he was going there to establish connections with pro-Russian people and find or offer some kind of leverage. Because back then, a lot of pro-Russian oligarchs, we could observe the situation that actually very much reminded of the situation in Ukraine after the Revolution of Dignity 2014, when plenty of pro-Russian oligarchs and politicians literally escaped from Ukraine. They went to Russia, to other countries, started finding refuge outside Ukraine, and we had a very, very similar situation back then, because 2005 we could observe all sorts of crazy things happening. I remember because I was there and remember like SBU burning documents, different Ukrainian law enforcement services getting rid of plenty of documentation and stuff like that. Pro-Russian oligarchs scared for their life, literally running out of Ukraine. And maybe the main idea of the main purpose behind the visit of Epstein to Ukraine was to actually establish connections. And I believe that he tried to establish this connection between either pro-Russian people, pro-Russian politicians in Ukraine and American establishment, or he tried to establish again, or offer the leverage between Ukrainian government and, again, Russians generally, because who knows, maybe he was sent there. All right, currently it's like conspiracy time, all right? Let's have some conversation about this. That is my theory. Friends, please let me know. I will be digging in this direction, okay? Because that stuff is suspicious as fuck. And I really want to understand what was the reason behind all that. Why would world's most known sexual offender fly to Ukraine in 2005 and later in 2012? In 2012, he went to Ukraine in October. That was the year when, again, in Ukraine, we had several huge protests because Ukraine was giving right to Russia to keep its ships in Crimea. Basically, the pro-Russian regime of Yanukovych donated Crimea indefinitely to the Russian fleet and started giving up Ukrainian sovereignty. We had protests against that. We had also the language protest, because they also implemented several laws that would basically make Russian language official in different regions of Ukraine, even though there was absolutely no need for that. So that was the situation in 2012, late 2012. And 2012 was literally that period of time when he visited Kyiv. It was literally 1 year before the Revolution of Dignity. So again, who knows? We don't know if he was even on board of this airplane. We also don't know if he flew to Ukraine after after 2014, because the latest flight logs that we have, they finish at around 2013. So maybe there are other flight logs that will be released later that will actually show that who are they? The conspiracies, my friend, they suck very, very much, all right, the conspiracies, but we freaking love them because we all like mysteries and unexplainable shit. Well, let's be realistic. So 2012, I'm very much looking forward to see the new logs, new whatever, new files. I have literally no idea, because we keep looking, all right, in the direction of Department of Justice of the United States, expecting them to finally, fulfill their promise. Not just promise, but the obligation. Hello, I'm back, friends. Please divulge all state secrets and sensitive information. We will, I promise. Dear FSB agent, we will be talking about that. Like, literally, that's the proper way, all right, of infiltrating my channel with FSB and stuff. Returning to Epstein, again, there are different, very, very interesting finds that you can actually see yourself, all right? For example, in his correspondence, he actually searches a lot, or searched a lot of information related to Ukraine. We know that Epstein was also connected through third people with different representatives of pro-Russian movements in Ukraine, like Vilkul, for example. That dude. Why internet sucks so much today, my friends? I'm so sorry. This stuff is absolutely absolutely shocking sometimes. Let's try this. By the way, you can actually see all those emails and pictures and everything else yourself. You can literally follow that link that I dropped there in the chat, and you can literally find all those emails, all the documents related to Epstein that were released so far. This very website is updated pretty much frequently, so you can observe it there. Let me try this on a different browser, my friends. Again, I'm so sorry for the technical inconveniences. We have them time from time. Okay. So, for example, and fuck, it opens, Jesus. So, for example, in 2019, on April 20th, he sent an email to... Sorry, I will be using, like, modern technologies, all right, to make it happen. Oh, there we are. On the American side, a varied cast of characters was fielding overtures and proposals from Russians or pro-Russian Ukrainians during the campaign and transition, including Mr. Gerson, George Nader, the Lebanese American with Trump campaign connections, Paul Manafort, Mr. Trump's former campaign chairman Michael D. Cohen, the president's longtime fixer and lawyer, the Eric Prince, the Blackwater founder and brother of Betsy DeVos, Mr. Trump's pick for education secretary, the email addressed to Jabor Y. I think that it's pretty much easy to find who he really was, right? As you can see, this website is made as like Google service, so it's basically like Epstein's very own Google account with pictures, with videos, with everything else. So we know that he was actually following the updates and most probably also related to pro-Russian politicians, different people that were lobbying pro-Russian interests. That is something very interesting. And you also remember, for example, this email, all right, that came from a redacted person from, I believe that one of his acquaintances, who says, my mom's childhood friend from Ukraine reached out to her. She works for Alexander Vilkul. This is 22nd of November 2016. Alexander Vilkul, Ukrainian opposition leader, asked if I could help organize the invitation to the Trump inauguration for a high reward. Shall I find out the details or drop it? Any interest in meeting them at all? I personally don't know Tamara, my mom's friend, and my mom hasn't seen her for years. Again, I searched for any official assistant of Alexander Vilkul named Tamara, especially in those years, like around 2016, 17, 15. Couldn't find anything. Most probably she was like in his unofficial circles, an acquaintance or somebody else. But who is Alexander Vilkul? I probably already told you. Currently he's a chief of civil military administration of Kryvyi Rih, President Zelensky's hometown. And Alexander Vilkul was widely known as one of the biggest pro-Russian lobbyists in Ukraine. How come he is currently responsible in the wartime? How come a pro-Russian person, oppositionist, how come he is responsible for defense of a Ukrainian city? You might ask. And if you ask this, you are basically joining like this big community of Ukrainians who actually ask the same, all right, because we have no fucking idea. But on the other hand, he also has no choice. Because if Vilkul starts supplying Russians with information, when he starts sabotaging defense of Kryvyi Rih and things like that, basically he'll go to fucking jail. That's absolutely obvious, right? But back then in 2016, according to this email, Vilkul's associates were looking for a contact with Jeffrey Epstein. Again, after all those accusations and everything else, he was already convicted, right? They were finding contact with Jeffrey Epstein because they wanted to visit the Trump's inauguration. So basically, politics suck everywhere. Yes, they kinda do. Is it true that pipes are bursting in Kyiv? Unfortunately, it's true because currently in Kyiv the situation is much harder than it was previously due to the power shortages, heating shortages, and unfortunately there is a chance that city will announce evacuation. All right, that's according to the recent rumors. So, I want to know, what do you think about this one? I tried to analyze it using AI and all that shit, and I literally had to convince AI that no, Epstein was 100% pro-Russian asset, all right, or Russian asset. because ChatGPT, for example, couldn't believe me, all right, that Epstein was pro-Russian. Fuck, as if, I don't know, as if ChatGPT saw Epstein like dancing in Vyshyvanka or something. So that is the mystery I'm kind of trying to solve these days. Specifically, the connection between the pro-Russian politicians and Epstein, and connections between Ukrainian pro-Russian politicians and this very motherfucker, because that can actually answer a lot. I think I saw one of the logs confirming that he went to Giuliani in 2014. I saw this and I lost it. So maybe, I don't know, it was literally a hallucination. But I cannot find this link anymore. And generally speaking, ChatGPT doesn't know either, because if you ask ChatGPT about that, he will tell you that, according to the information that we have, Epstein has never been to Ukraine. However, like, the evidence is right there. All those flights, all the original files of the flight logs, they're also available there in on that website, so you can basically see whatever you like. For example, this email, you can see the original document. Here we are looking at it, all right? So everything is documented and available for you right there. Okay. So that is the mystery I'm trying to solve. Speaking of the updates, all right, this is something that I wanted to share with you, because we know that Russians are nagging that Ukrainians are banning Russian church, even though it's not true. We know that Russian Orthodox Church representatives go to the United States to nag about that. What you're looking at on your screens right now is basically like a tiny mammal. This one, by the way, this one was disseminated among the Russian terrorist forces, hybrid forces in Donbass, way before the full-scale Russian invasion, because I remember seeing that already years ago. I will translate it for you. So this is Russian Orthodox Church, Moscow Patriarchate, Bryansk Metropolia. All right. You are Russian warrior. Your task is to protect your motherland from Ukrainian nationalists. Your goal is to wipe Ukrainian nation from the face of the earth. Your enemy is ideology that was born in the sinful human soul, blah, blah, blah. This is the Bryansk chapter, all right, of the Russian terrorist church. And that is basically the memos that they were disseminating among their terrorists. Just just to remember, every single time when somebody tells you that Ukraine is banning Russian church, that, by the way, isn't even banned in Ukraine at this point, you can go to that amazing website of Russian church in Ukraine. You can see that they're still holding sermons and everything's fine. Please remember that people who say that, they basically suck ass, because there on your screens you can see the reason why Ukrainians actually want to see this church banned forever on planet Earth. Speaking of other updates, according to Ukrainian intelligence and according to President Zelensky himself, due to the actions performed by the Ukrainian intelligence and due to the coordination between Ukraine and our partners, at least 20% of the Russian shadow fleet is seized, all right? At least 20% of the ships in the Russian Shadow Fleet ceased their operations, which makes it something around 400 ships, or approximately like that. Of course, we are not only talking about the international sanctions and the partners and stuff like that, but we're also talking about, different good drones, sometimes undersea drones, sometimes surface drones that keep reminding the Russian tankers that you cannot smuggle Russian shit because it's actually very, very bad for your health. Federal prosecutor of Germany accused two men that had to send packages with bombs to Ukraine using post. So according to the law enforcement service, they were receiving their orders from the Russian agents that were physically in currently occupied Mariupol. You know that Mariupol is currently under the terror Russian control, whatever is left of the city. One of the accused stated that first they kind of did a test run and they sent to Ukraine two packages without explosives, okay, but already with bombs, without explosives, just to check. Every parcel, according to the information, had a GPS tracker to control the movement of this parcel. So the man who did this did it through another terrorist who lived in Köln, North Rhine-Westphalia, because in Köln we have an office of Nova Post, that is a widespread Ukrainian post service. And the third dude was supervising their actions. We know that this dude lived in Switzerland and recently was extradited to Germany. Which is again another proof that Russians keep waging their hybrid warfare on the territory of European countries, specifically in Germany. We can see that Russian terrorists, using their FSB, using their paid, recruited terrorists on the territory of other countries, they keep waging this terrorist war against Ukraine and also against other European countries, sending shit using post, using mail. So, do you want to switch to the Russian cringe? If you do, my friends, then I have to take a sip. Because what you will see is something that is very, very tightly related to Darwin's theory, that there is this natural selection. And turns out it works. Actually, Russians can prove that. Because here in this video, you can observe the terror Russian anti-aircraft missile that they're using, trying to intercept some of good Ukrainian drones, or maybe a Ukrainian missile of happiness, all right, flying to terror Russia. And check out what this missile does. So it's kind of launched, and then it's like, fuck, I will just hit a residential house over there. And it kind of did. So as a result of this strike, the terror Russian air defense actually hit a residential building and removed 3 floors. All right, the building didn't collapse, but at least 3 floors were removed. Natural selection fucking works, my friends. Darwin was right. I agree. I'm not a creationist myself, but Darwin was freaking right. So we know that this missile was launched from Panzer S-1, the most modern, most advanced terror Russia and Chad designed to intercept flying objects. And there on your screens, you can also check out, all right, my God, shut up. You can observe, like, what the hell is that? Is that like disc attack or something? I have no idea. Russians celebrated, all right, a missile hitting their house. Maybe just a flashlight, I don't know. Maybe they're dancing or drinking. Could be both. That is not S-300, that is literally Panzer S-1. Because we know that they have no analogs, all right? Because not a single proper country, all right, would like to develop anything like that shit. That is literally the reason why Russians say that all the Russian weaponry has no analogs, my friends. Protests in Iran. Massive protests. That is one of the recent videos that we can obtain despite the informational blockade. Again, internet still doesn't work, but people still keep protesting against the bloody regime of murder Khamenei. Today, according to rumors, I cannot find any updates on this one. Sorry, I need to take another sip. According to rumors that emerged all over the internet, today Khamenei was supposed to execute several hundreds of protesters that were captured during the protests. So there was some kind of announcement, again, according to the rumors that I saw. There was some kind of announcement regarding this, and he was actually about to execute those people. The death penalty in Iran exists, it's still used, and used very, very often. Mark Rutte stated that there are no reasons to think that aggressive and reckless Russian agenda will change in the nearest future, he said. According to Mark Rutte, everything proves absolutely opposite. Russia is aiming at long-term confrontation, and it doesn't act alone. Of course, we're talking about Russia being supported by other terrorist regimes, like DPRK, like regime of Khamenei, Cuba, and things like that. Also, Crimean Tatars report that a substation in Jankoy in Crimea was set on fire again, most probably due to the reckless smoking. They also report that half of villages in Jankoy region also lost electricity because who knows why, but it happens very often. This one, oh my god, let me this one we will talk about those mice just a bit later. Trump stated that NATO will become more effective if United States receive control over Greenland. He basically says that it's vital for the Golden Dome that they're building, and NATO should support United States in receiving Greenland. Otherwise, he says that NATO might actually suffer without United States as a NATO member. How crazy is that? So let's talk just a bit about Greenland. All right. Let's even open, I don't know if I can Google Earth. Earth, Google. All right, let's check it out. Let's use maps. I'm like Lukashenko, you know, with that like pointer. I will show you where Ukraine wanted to invade beautiful Belarus. I will show you in just a second. Here we have beautiful United States over there and Greenland all the way over there. The distance between United States and Greenland, where can I measure the distance? Well, I will tell you from memory, all right? This span is approximately 500 nautical miles, which makes it 700 miles or around that, all right? Please correct me if I'm wrong, but something about that. So that is like roughly 600 miles right there. Okay, that is between Greenland and Canada. Between Greenland and the closest states of the USA, that is something like much longer. I believe something like 7, maybe 800 nautical miles. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And for some reason, Trump believes that Russians, all the way from the other side of the globe, as well as Chinese, again, from all the way from the other side of the globe, they all really want to have Greenland island. They are plotting to take it and stuff like that. I have literally no idea, but Donald Trump is terrified with the idea that actually Russians or Chinese can take the Greenland island from Denmark, okay? And that is why he justifies this with his intention of acquiring Greenland and connecting it to the United States officially, okay? So if Donald Trump is so much terrified with the idea that Russians or Chinese can land on Greenland, occupy it, take it under their control, which, by the way, I think he works in very close cooperation with Medvedev, who actually talks about this, because he would not state anything like he stated recently that actually, yes, Mr. Trump, you should hurry with taking Greenland, otherwise we will take it, as if he was literally asked, all right, to do that. So if they are so much terrified with Russians that might occupy Greenland, that is like roughly, I don't know, let's say 700 nautical miles from the closest state of the United States, I will show you something very exciting. Here we have Cuba. Here we have Havana. I'm sure you all know this place, okay? Even though those people who are not very much acquainted with geography of the United States and stuff like that, we've all heard about the legendary Florida Man, all right? I'm sure you did too. So roughly 170-200 miles from the American border, we have Havana. And if you check this place, especially if you check the port of Havana, you will often notice a bunch of Russian ships docked in Havana because Russians hold mutual military exercise with Cuba freaking since forever, all right? Last year they had mutual military exercise, they docked. It's about 90 miles. Thank you, Ali. Yeah. So according to according to the news reports, Russians are often having mutual military exercises together with Cubans, literally operating their ships, their nuclear submarines with nuclear weapons on board, roughly 90 miles from the American border, which is something that neither Donald Trump nor his followers, those geostrategists, or right, those military experts, they don't give a slightest fuck about this one, but they are so concerned about taking control over Greenland because Russia or China will occupy it otherwise. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any fucking sense in occupying Greenland and attaching it to the territory of the United States. At the same time, if you want to increase security in Greenland, all right, if you are so much worried that Greenland might be occupied all of a sudden, all right, Chinese and Russians are preparing their strike expedition. Their occupational groups are being concentrated already somewhere there in the Russian ports, Chinese ports and stuff like that, which is something we will never see. But let's imagine that somewhere in parallel reality, in Narnia somewhere, all right, in Trump's imagination, it's happening, all right? Russians are like building a fleet to invade Greenland together with Chinese. If you want to increase the security of Greenland, if you want to improve security of Greenland Island, you don't necessarily have to fucking annex the island. You can just call the Prime Minister of Denmark and say, I'm sorry, can we please concentrate or deploy our troops to Greenland, because we have this data that Russians and Chinese are actually building up troops, building up forces, they're preparing fleet to invade the island. Can we do that? All right, because we are your NATO allies and we want to help you so much. And I'm sure that the Prime Minister of Denmark will say, Mr. Trump, welcome. We will prepare sleepers for all of your soldiers. We will prepare hotels. We'll prepare like Glintwein and pizza and whatever you like. Okay, we'll even build a fucking McDonald's specifically for your troops, so they would feel like home. You don't have to occupy this place. You don't have to annex it. You don't have to, let's be realistic, you don't have to be an asshole, all right? You don't have to be second Putin, because we already have one, and that shit is enough. At the same time, there's so many guys who say, let's stop involving our country in different conflicts. All right, let's think about our internal problems. Let's finally think about ourselves. Please do. Okay, please do. Because it doesn't really seem like dealing with your internal problems when you want to invade Greenland, when you're invading Venezuela and threatening other countries. It doesn't really think like, you know, ceasing your operations. So that's another thing. Please let me know what you think, and friends, correct me if I'm wrong. That's far too crazy an idea. We must invade so they get the best security. Yeah, absolutely. Shit. It's like, you know, let Russia invade Ukraine so Ukraine is never invaded by Russia anymore. The US have a military base there and abusing power. How many military bases do the US have in Denmark? Please remind me. No penguins in Greenland. Polar bears ate them. Those polar bears. Yeah, but generally, when you look at Greenland, all right, let's not look at Havana. Let's take another look at this beautiful place. If you look at Greenland generally, this place is absolutely freaking insane. Like, the elevation in the central part of Greenland is insane. Like, in some places, the elevation can be as high as 10,000 feet above the sea level. And generally, inside Greenland, in most cases, you literally find like, yeah, like polar bears, rock, snow, ice, all that goodness. On the other hand, like, Cuba would seem like a much more attractive place, all right? If I was a conqueror. Thank God I'm not. The US military eats at Burger King, not McDonald's. Really? I don't know. I've been to Burger King actually once in my entire life in Germany. Because myself, I prepare McDonald's because I have this not memory. I have those instincts, all right, from Ukraine, where McDonald's is actually a legit place to go to with your family if you want to have quality time, good food in a clean place, and good service. That's literally you take your family and go to McDonald's in Kyiv or in Lviv because everything is very fast, very tasty. The place is clean, people smile. That's a legit place. Returning to our updates, my friends. According to Reuters, within the next 24 hours, the United States can actually attack Iran. United States are removing part of personnel from the bases on the Middle East due to security circumstance. One Israeli authority says that it looks like the decision to interfere is already taken, but the details are not really understood. And also, one Iranian source is warning that if the United States attack Iran, they might strike back, targeting the American bases in the region. That's very interesting. In Cyprus, remember, on the last stream we talked about the Russian GRU agent who was found in Cyprus because he stopped breathing, all right? He decided to check how much time he can spend without breathing, and turned out that he can do it forever, basically. So recently, it seems like Baumgartner, the Russian oligarch and former chief of Ural-Kali, was found there. This dude, again, Russian oligarch, and yada yada, he disappeared on 7th of January. 3 days after that, everybody started searching for this man, and according to the File News, the media outlet on Cyprus, his alleged remains were found somewhere in the rocks on south of Cyprus, and they say that his body is has deteriorated very, very bad. Okay, the Russian media say that Baumgartner was a big fan of climbing, and he could die while taking some hard roads, some altitude. during the weather, but I don't believe this stuff because Russian oligarchs is such a dying profession these days. So I don't really believe that he did it himself. This one is actually very interesting. Today, the Russian terrorists tried to attack Kyiv with their jet drones. Those are basically Russian, shitty Shaheds equipped with jet engines. And they launched 10 of those drones at Kyiv. All of them were intercepted by the Ukrainian air defense. You can actually see that happening on your screens. That's basically what it looks like. I have no idea. Judging from this crosshair, okay, that could be Ukrainian system OSA, but I don't know. I am not an air defense guy, unfortunately, so that could be something else. How crazy is that? Also, hackers announced that the Russian Max messenger was basically hacked. 15 million profiles, 15.4 million profiles to be specific, including names, including nicknames, numbers, session tokens, and password hash, metadata, and other back-end code, and also the encoding model was obtained by hackers literally today. How cool is that? The Russian Max Messenger is basically what Russians are trying to supplant WhatsApp and Telegram with, Signal, all those messengers. They are trying to supplant all that with the super modern Russian Messenger Max that has absolutely no analogs for the reasons we already discussed earlier, because not a single country in the world wants to have that shit, okay? And this is literally a direct connection to FSB. So if you don't provide your details to this messenger, you're getting blocked instantly. And if you don't install this messenger on your phone, you will get punished by your boss, basically, because they all say that all of their employees in Russia, they have to install that shit on their phones. Besides that, in Russia currently, all the phones that they're using, either Chinese phones or whatever phones, come pre-equipped with this shit. So 15 million profiles were snatched by good Ukrainian hackers, maybe some other hackers, I have no idea. I suspect that they were Ukrainian hackers. And this is something that, by the way, I wanted to show you. So you know that Russians are massively using horses, and Ukrainian soldiers captured several Russian horses as fucking trophies. How do you like that? Literally, I have no idea where will they use those horses, or how will they use those horses, but that is something crazy. Just to remind you, in 2023, approximately 40% of Ukrainian tanks were the tanks that were captured, the trophies, all right, from the Russian terrorists, the tanks that they massively left during their retreat in Kharkiv Oblast, in Kherson, in Kyiv Oblast as well. So part of the tanks, of the overall number of tanks used by the Ukrainian armed forces, they came from Russia. They were literally either taken, snatched, or abandoned. Okay. And now we can see that Ukrainians keep doing that. They just keep taking what the Russians are bringing to Ukrainian soil. I have no idea, my friends. Holy shit. Ukrainian cavalry. That cavalry is actually legit. The dude, like, you can see that he has this, like, smiling skull, alright? The scarf with the smiling skull on his face. That is just so cute. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that those horses will be treated well. They will receive proper medical treatment, food, and they will be able to breathe the air of democracy in Ukraine. Something that they definitely don't have in the terrorist federation. It's amazing. So, Ukrainian energy expert Ryabtsov says that two Ukrainian heating power stations that were destroyed by Russians, unfortunately, they will not be working at their full capacity, at least by the end of the heating season, because the situation will keep deteriorating in terms of Russian drones hitting the Ukrainian energy infrastructure, and the damage that was received is actually very, very bad. Also, President Zelensky says that emergency will be declared in terms of energy situation in Ukraine. There will be increased schedules of shortages and blackout, also limited water supply to Kyiv, and maybe there will be implemented a centralized managing of generation and dissemination of the electricity. The high priority objects such as hospitals, water supplying facilities, communication facilities, and military objects, as well as critical infrastructure, will be in the priority, all right? They will be prioritized. So that is basically the situation at this point. Unfortunately, that's what we have in 2026. Now, do you want to talk about the recent, recent corruption scheme in Ukraine with the arrest of Yulia Tymoshenko? Let me know, because I love to talk about this one. I can tell you everything about Yulia Tymoshenko. So, Yulia Tymoshenko, she is the head of the so-called Batkivshina, motherland. That is her political party. She had that political party since early 2000s. Recently, she was accused for paying bribes to different members of parliament and asking them to vote for specific things. What is Yulia Tymoshenko known for? She's known for being imprisoned back in 2000 by President Kuchma, the same President Kuchma in Ukraine who murdered Gongadze, the journalist who decapitated him. And also, she was released just a bit later, and then she was imprisoned by Yanukovych. She was a prime minister for a while. She was a prime minister, as far as I remember, in President Viktor Yushchenko's government, which wasn't that bad. But what everybody in Ukraine knows about Yulia Tymoshenko is that she is a corrupted person. Like, there are people who support her, but there are also people who support Donald Trump, regardless, all right? There are people who support all sorts of people. Yulia Tymoshenko was known for being very, very corrupted, okay? And back in those days, for example, in the days of Yanukovych, Ukrainian law enforcement and Ukrainian court, okay, it was very biased. Basically, Yanukovych would point at somebody, all right, and say, arrest this person for corruption, okay? And of course, this person would be arrested for corruption because it can be proved, okay? A lot of politicians, since those old times, their crimes could be easily proved. The corruption that they did, all right, it could be easily proved. So Yulia Tymoshenko, again, like million investigations. Basically, it's, you know, like everybody knows everything, but we have no other choice. There are still people who believe in her and stuff like that. The man who actually taught me public relations in my university was her very, very own PR manager, and he was actually very, very good. So Yulia Tymoshenko was imprisoned by dictator Yanukovych, then she was released after the Revolution of Dignity and stuff like that. And later the war started, the hybrid phase of the war started, then the full-scale war started. We didn't hear much from Yulia Tymoshenko, but she was connected to multiple corruption cases. Again, she was connected with Putin. She would go and meet Putin and talk to him, you know, stuff like that, like way before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. She was paying politicians to vote or abstain on things she wanted. Yes, exactly. That's the good explanation, Ellie. Thank you very much. And some of the members of parliament basically said, Yulia, fucking stop, I will call police. And she's like, no. And they said, yes. So they called police and basically said, like, this lady is paying us bribes because she wants us to either vote or abstain. So she got arrested, and I cannot say that she's in the opposition right now, okay? She's not in the coalition with the president's party, but neither she is in the opposition. The only opposition we have right now in Ukraine is basically the pro-Russian opposition. Okay, and nobody likes them. Like, we all hate those motherfuckers. Yulia Tymoshenko, she kind of had support from people, but again, everybody knows. Okay, it's not like she's fucking, I don't know, leader of the nation or whatever, but like everybody knows how to compare Yulia Tymoshenko, so you would understand. Like, dear Germans, would you like Angela Merkel to return? Let me know. Or like, would you like George Bush to return in the United States? It's like, very, very roughly speaking, all right? It's like, we are tired of those people. We know what they did, okay? We all have, like, results of multiple journalist investigations, all that stuff. We are, you know, like, you're freaking 95 years old. Please just retire finally. Okay, give the way to young Ukrainian politicians. Okay, we are so tired of literally seeing your face over and over again on the television, listening to your fucking voice, pretending that you are innocent, and you're sitting there forever in the parliament. Please go. That's the reason, by the way, why, for example, current part of President Zelensky was so successful, because it was full of people. Not all of them were good. Trust me, my friends, not all of those people were good. Fucking photographers. Dude, who are you? I'm like wedding photographer. Thank you very much. You know, but they were new people, and we were all trying to do whatever it takes to bring new blood, new people into the parliament. So Yulia Tymoshenko is literally representative of that, like old style Ukrainian political elites, corrupted throughout. Everybody knows that. Okay, everybody knows that. And basically she did something that she was not supposed to do on fourth year of full-scale invasion of Ukraine. So I'm happy. I cannot say that I hate her or something like that. Actually, during the Revolution of Dignity, we all fought for Yulia Tymoshenko to be released, all right, from prison. We all fought for that. At the Maidan of Independence, there was that huge Christmas tree with like huge face of Yulia Tymoshenko on it. You can Google it yourself. And we all fought for her to be released. You pay bribes, fucking go to jail. She's pretty much acquainted with the jail already. It will be her third time in the jail, as far as I can tell. So literally, I don't care. Okay, like you're corrupted, you go to jail because that's where you belong. And frankly speaking, I actually expect to see more Ukrainian members of parliament sharing space with Yulia Tymoshenko. Frankly speaking, again, let's expect the investigation, let's expect all the results. You will see yourself. Did you ever see the documentary Ukraine is Not a Brothel? My heart goes out to the woman of Ukraine for being objectified. I have not seen that one, but I think I will check it out. She knew what she was doing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Old people can have good ideas. That's what wisdom and experience is all about. Young people can be corrupted. Old is not the same as corrupted. 100%. I agree on that. Absolutely. And by the way, looking at our small family here on this channel, all right, I can tell you that the average age of our dear friends and family that are in the chat is like average age is between 45 and 75. We don't have many young people here, all right, which I completely agree with you. Older people have wisdom, younger people can be corrupted, young people are unexperienced. We do all sorts of crazy shit when we are young. I can tell myself. But at the same time, I'm not saying that we should, fill the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine with like 18-year-old guys. I'm saying that there are a lot of real leaders, a lot of young politicians young activists that can actually do a lot and bring a lot of good results to Ukraine, and not only to Ukraine, but other countries as well, if they are in the parliament, if they have power, okay? But there's a lot of people in Ukraine that also share the same idea as me, that politics is a really, really dirty and stinking business, and we don't want to have anything in common with this shit. We would not even touch it with like 5 feet long stick, okay? Because if you're involved, that's a disaster. We are young-minded, 100%. Again, like, I feel as if I'm 16, even though I'm like 24 years older, but as an old person myself, I would say that old people can and should have a place, but what they should not have is a death grip on power. Yes, yes. And speaking of old school politicians like Yulia Tymoshenko, that's one of the clear examples, all right? The only reason they keep doing what they're doing instead of literally retiring and doing something else, all right, instead of politics. They can do a lot of things. She's a woman. She can go outside Ukraine. She can travel. She can go to other countries. She can have an impressive lobby for Ukraine. She can represent Ukrainian interests as ambassador in whatever country, all right? In Europe, in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, in Japan, because everybody knows Yulia Tymoshenko, right? And she's very, very good at communications. Again, I can tell because I know her PR manager. She's very good at communications. But the only reason she was doing what she was doing was literally because, this stuff. I'm so old that my tagline is ancient Greek. I'm young enough to love, and I love the mods. Same here. I'm 40 when get on my BMX. I think I'm 16 again, then end up fucking messed up. I know what you mean, my friend. My first PC was a VIC-20. I'm that. Oh my god. Friends, we are not old. We can live for many, many years. Doesn't make us old, alright? We just live that long. I'm 12 forever. Means that we're not gonna have beer together, Ali. Please reconsider. What is a PC? So slow compared to when I was 25. It's a normal process. It's not like you're slow. We are just enjoying the time, all right? We're just enjoying the time. A bunch of dinosaurs in here. Only the best, all right? Only the best. My lady, she's like 30, but she's 31. But she looks like she's, I don't know, 15, 16. Every single time we're outside with her, I'm like, I'm looking like this. Because I'm actually joking about this. Like, you sure you want to wear something, with those like kitten ears or something like that? Because I'm afraid that I'll get, I'll go to jail. Because that stuff is dangerous. I started martial arts when I was 47. I started martial arts when I was like 14. But regularly after I was like 25. And it sucked. It actually sucked because I talked to my coach about participating in like amateur competitions and stuff. And my coach said, yeah, sure, you gotta train for like 2 or 3 months, everything will be fine. And after that, I started having sparrings with younger guys that, of course, they have reaction like weasels, like freaking, I don't know, cats, all right? And I started suffering so much. I'm like, I'm that slow. Holy shit. How did I even survive, to my age? I had a small computer before the Commodore 16 came out. I don't even know those scary words. Andreas, Commodore, like I remember something like that from different life, but yeah. Make Starsky a baby. Come on, guys, don't do that. I grew up in martial arts and think boxing or MMA is better fight training. Martial arts is more aerobatic and flexibility. 100%. I also like boxing and kickboxing, but again, because of age, my stretch sucks so bad. And again, because of age, my reaction also sucks. But what doesn't suck is actually wrestling, because I respect and fear wrestlers with all my heart. Those are savage, motherfucker. Like those people, they can literally do all sorts of crazy shit. I had Commodore Amiga. Like my first was Pentium 3, I think. Or something like that. If you abuse science, you can use harmonics and resonance frequencies to speed up your internal clock. Where can I buy that? Please let me know. I would really do that. I almost did MMA UFC. It was supposed to start it in Niagara Falls, but it didn't, so I didn't. Well, I'm not sure if you should be like sad about that, my friend. So I'm not the only one who remembers this song. The modem played when dialing. It's still playing in my head, my friend. I still remember that one. Yo, hello, my friends. Hello to beautiful Stockholm. I like Krav Maga. Yeah, I have a friend who actually studied Krav Maga. But he was already a beast. He didn't need anything else, because he was, those lucky bastards born mesomorphs, right, or endomorphs. The guys with like perfect genetics. Okay, there are ectomorphs, mesomorphs, and endomorphs, like the perfect people, all right? Those like Ubermenschen. Literally, lucky bastards, they don't need to work out, they always look perfect, and they can eat whatever they like. Their ancestors were like big and strong, and they have like the best genetics possible, right? Like those people. That's literally one of my best friends in Ukraine. And he was not body like a tank, Kathleen, like proper body, like fucking Apollo, alright? Like, I don't know, Zeus. I have a friend like that, and he showed me pictures of his father, his grandfather, his great grandfather. They all look the same. They're tall, they're big, they're like handsome and shit, mustache, and like literally Oliver, yeah, 100, like literally scumbags. Because I'm like, Bro, what do you do to keep your shape? He's like, well, I do like 10 push-ups a day and I'm happy. Like, do you have a diet or anything? Like, yeah, basically my diet is eating whatever I like. Literally scumbags. What else can I say? All four crew abandoned the International Space Station. Yeah, I saw it coming actually. German youth said they would rather surrender than fight, and the reason for that is literally absence of motivation. Because tell me exactly how German youth is motivated in Germany. I've done all the kung fu leaps and kicks, but that was when I was crashing my Oh my god. Downloading a picture took minutes and loaded in single lines. Yeah, I remember that when I had a dial-up modem, and that would literally take a lot of time. And that's only pictures. Videos would take like days to load. I remember that. Looking like a Greek capsule. Yeah, yeah. Like, that's completely not fair. You know? One thing is that at least he didn't brag about it, all right? He wouldn't say, like, I checked my health and I have the best health in the world, you know? No, he was like a humble guy. He studied Taekwondo, Krav Maga, kickboxing, and later Jiu-Jitsu. And then he qualified in Jiu-Jitsu, actually. Again, because he had like perfect body shape, perfect reaction, perfect every fucking thing. He was younger than me, probably like 10 years younger than me. He looked, back when I was like 30, he looked, how to say it, more grown up, probably, you know? Not like he looked old, but he looked more grown. He was big, beard and shit. And I felt like, you know, you have like always this, like a stereotype. You have a beauty, all right? You have a beautiful girl and her friend, okay? There's always like beautiful girl and her friend. I know that is like sexist and stereotype, but you know, like like it is in the culture. So I was like his friend all the time. So, and then he qualified in BJJ. He only started learning, and he's like, "Oh my god, I like this shit. I feel so inspired. I'm so successful. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for you." He fucking qualified. He received his belt, then his other belt. How the hell does it work? Like, why? Life is not fair. I remember that boxing match you showed like 3 years ago. I showed my boxing match, my friendly boxing match with Buzz a couple of months ago, like that bigger dude. Yeah, that one made me suffer as well. Again, what's the point? Okay, we had a match. We had like friendly sparring with my friend. What was the point punishing me so bad? And the dude literally he was big, all right? I was 66 kilograms, 66 kilograms actually. He was 122. And he would literally punish me like a motherfucker. Like, I'm trying to like reach him, like jab something. He grabs me, he literally puts his stomach on top of me and I'm there dying under him. And how do you call that? He's a scumbag too, of course. The hot guy and his dedicated sidekick. Yeah. Much prefer the body forms of swimmers, lots of muscle, but no bulky stuff. That's basically my friend. Um, I'm not sure if I can find his photo like right now, but if I could, I would show you. Literally, you look at him as if he comes from like ancient Greek mythology. All right, and every single time we go to Hydro Park, to that open air gym, and start training, and all the ladies working out there, they just stare at him that whole time while we're training, asking his phone number and stuff. How the hell does it work? Good morning to beautiful Australia. It's fine. Don't be upset because of not staying with us longer. But yeah, that's something that I will be investigating these days. How exactly, why exactly that scumbag was flying to Ukraine, and what exactly did he do here? Am I a swimmer? I do swim. I like this stuff. I don't have much opportunity though, but I kind of do. Viewers have started seeing Ukraine pop-ups to militarize drones operators for the front line. Yeah. Life is not fair. My dad ended up in the hospital after having a seizure in his brain, got infected in the hospital. Oh my God, my friend, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's absolutely crazy. My friends would say, you've got a couple of loose threads hanging from your shirts. Oh no, they're your legs. Ah, nice one. He died this Monday morning, like this week. Oh my God, my friend, I'm so sorry. Please accept my condolences. I had no idea. I'm so sorry, my friend. Please let me know if you need anything, all right? If there is any way I can help or our community can help, please let us know, okay? That's insane. Unfortunately, one thing you realize after your parents pass away, the first thing you realize is that you will be next. And that is something absolutely, absolutely freaking. I don't know how to call it. Okay, my friends, I am trying to check out new updates, and national Iranian television is showing the footage of attack on Trump with the words saying that next time the bullet won't miss, which if I was Khamenei, I would not do that, all right? Regardless of what I'm thinking about Trump, if I was Khamenei, I would prefer not to do that. Also, the Russian Azot factory in Stavropol Krai is smoking. No idea what happened. The Russians are not saying about any possible drone attack in that area throughout the day. No idea. My dad's ashes sitting next to my chair over a year. Don't know what I'm doing yet. Yeah, something that we will never get used to, my friend. I'm the eldest in my family and always had a strange feeling I'll outlive my siblings. Sarah, that only means that you are full of life. And actually, there's nothing wrong about that. Both of my parents are gone. They were so good. Miss them very, very much. I know that's an emptiness that a void that will never be full again. Someone smoked on the wrong face. Simple as that. Absolutely, this one. Cotton Cutie was there in Russia. I think that's the reason. Cotton Cutie likes to misbehave on the Russian territory from time to time, I tell you that. I'm taking my dad's ashes fishing this summer. He won't be coming back. I hope that you will be at least a bit, if it helps to lift your spirit, I hope that you will be at least more successful in fishing than me. And for some reason, I'm sure that you will. Because I spent a whole freaking year trying to fish. I literally caught nothing instead of sunstroke, besides sunstroke. Grief is the price we pay for love. Yeah, I can say that. In 2006, no, in 2006 or 7, I lost my friend. She was like 18, and she fell from a roof of her house, most probably because she, tried to end her own life. I don't know. Like, my friends didn't really want to talk about that, and I didn't want to ask. And one thing that our friend said when we went to the funeral, he said that with the time, love transforms into tenderness and warm memories. And actually, that's the way it is. How do you feel when you're playing Counter-Strike and 12-year-old kids are kicking your ass? I didn't play Counter-Strike with like 12-year-olds. I played Counter-Strike with my peers. And for the last time, I think I played Counter-Strike many, many years ago, actually, with like my friends. But I think it doesn't matter if like 30-year-old kicks your ass in Counter-Strike or 13-year-old kicks your ass in Counter-Strike. Doesn't matter at all. There's absolutely no difference. You lose, you lose. I had many years like that called fishing, not catching. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If Mirko was there in the chat, he would confirm. The last time we went fishing, we were with the friends, with Mirko, and the guys were having some barbecue on like a bank of a river, and I was literally standing my balls deep in the water trying to fish for like the whole freaking day. I didn't catch anything, and then I was casting, and the wobbler that I had flew all the way in the fucking tree and stuck there, of course. And that was literally the last drop that overfilled the freaking jar of my patience, all right? And that's when I said, I fuck this shit. And I just put everything in the car and forgot about fishing. And I don't regret. I feel so much more calm without this shit. I can spend, or rather waste my life in other ways, and I don't regret. Okay. Again, we are fishing from a boat with a guy early in the morning. Everybody is sleeping on the shore in the tents, and we have a tiny boat, and we're fishing with the guy. I have a green wobbler. He has exactly the same wobbler as me, only white. So we're casting, and he catches two pikes, big pikes. I catch fucking nothing. And he's like, well, I don't know why it happens, maybe because your wobbler is green, mine is white, I have no idea. They're exactly the same. Why? Probably it's literally because, it's not my thing. Starsky lost it. Yes, it's like still you can go to that very place, you can look up and you will see literally this like wobbler, this fish stuck to the tree. And I have literally no desire to go there and take it from, like, why? I admitted and I accepted that I'm not good at fishing, and I don't regret. I caught a pier one. Ooh, how big was the pier? Fishermen usually like to show like this big or this big, The trick to fishing is beer and not caring if you catch anything. I've spent 4 hours and caught nothing, then had one on the hook before the second slip. Yeah, I had several situations like that. Like, in 1 year, I actually caught one tiny fish, but it was literally too small. It was even smaller than embarrassing, all right? Than what is considered embarrassing. So I let it go. And after that, I didn't catch anything. And I subscribed to all sorts of communities. I was literally spying after the people. I would receive a lot of notifications. For example, they would say, like, today I noticed a lot of carps in this reservoir. And I'm like, shit. And I grab all my stuff and I just go there, early in the morning, start fishing. Fucking nothing. Probably 30-meter long pier. That's a long pier. Congratulations. It was a nice one. I just found a match on Armor Talks right in the middle of Starsky. Oh, really? Nice. Anyone else gets slaughtered with ads? I have no idea. My kids always beat me at chess, checkers, Monopoly, and basketball when they were 8 years old. I don't regret. Same here. Let them celebrate while they can. The kids are always so happy. They go like, oh, check out, I can run faster than you. I can draw better than you. I can play Counter-Strike better than you. And you're like, yeah, sure. I will laugh when you have your own, all right? Or when you go to job. Then we will talk. Those bastards. You think we're gonna have next Olympia in the United States? That's a good question to the American citizens. I have no idea. Ads have gone mad. Jesus. What are they doing there with YouTube? I have no idea. Literally, remember those times when YouTube only had like 100,000 videos and you could still find anything? Okay, like you want to buy a battery for a car, you can see the review on a YouTube and everything was cool. Constant chat replacement ads. That's freaking insane, my friends. I have no idea. So you have ads instead of chat. Plus on the ads here. That is absolutely insane. Why would they put ads instead of chat? Been troll bashing for Jonathan Fink on Silicon Garden comments. You can also visit my recent shorts, okay, on Trump's javelins, and check it out as well. I'm sure that there are a few. Okay, you will spend some pleasant time there. The best way to go fishing is to have friends who go fishing. Then we can stay home and eat sushi. Yeah, that's a good idea. And generally, it's a good idea to go and spend quality time with your friends, whatever you're doing. My friends are telling me, like, dude, use traps. Like, you attach this, like, freaking stuff with 100 hooks. The feeder, all right? Use feeder. Fish using feeder. But, like, what's the point? Seriously, That's not fishing. That's literally, I don't know, like trapping, catching. Like that doesn't bring you joy. Uh, Fishing is when you go again balls deep into the water, you cast and you stand there and catch something and celebrate. Um, Feeder is literally you throw this shit into the water and then you just go join your friends, drink, whatever, go to bed, drive to a McDonald's or something, and your fish will be there, on your feeder, hooked, and everything will be fine. But it's not fishing, okay? There's nothing entertaining about this one. My dad and I used to go albacore fishing offshore and come home with a few dozen or more. You're a very, very lucky person, my friend. I used to go fishing with Mirko, and every single time, every single time we would return home with freaking nothing with Mirko. Mirko would be like, relax, everything's fine, come on, why are you so mad? Everything's good, we had a great time. And he reminds me about this every single time. To me, actually, fishing is my personal tragedy because I never caught any freaking thing. But Mirko is like, what are you talking about? We had such a great time, and probably that's a proper way of thinking. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like too pessimistic or something. Thoughts on all the new AI channels? Oh my god. When you look at the shorts, okay, for example, I don't know, a dog saved a boy from a bear attack, okay, and they show like some kind of LA downtown or something, and it looks like it's a Ring camera and it's like obvious AI shit. And they do it all the time. I don't know. I'm so much tired. There's so many videos today on YouTube. I was surrounded by wolves, and they showed me this. Of course, I click because it's a clickbait. And there's this actually very well generated AI video of a dude getting surrounded by wolves in a winter forest, and then there's this black wolf taking him to the wolf's den, and he gives him like his only child, like a wolf cub, the puppy. And I'm like, whoa, I haven't seen anything like that before. But that shit is like 300 million views. Wish me luck, I'll be back later if you're still alive. Got a very important doctor appointment now. Alright, have a great one, okay? Please let us know how did it go. And most probably I will be wrapping up myself because we're approaching the 2-hour mark. And I also have to wake up very, very early because I made an appointment with one very, very good person, right, that I will be making an interview with. And that will be something around 4 a.m. Berlin time. So actually, I gotta go myself very, very soon. But before that, I would really like to say big thanks to everyone who supports our fundraiser. I rely on you, my friends, and our guys also rely on you. We are almost there. I would like to say big thanks to everyone all the legendary people who donated. And I would also like to say big thanks to our brave, courageous moderators. Big thanks to all the friends and family in the chat for your commentaries. Again, Per Haglind, my condolences regarding your father. Sorry for your loss. I hope that at least the fact that, you know, we are together and supporting each other will make you feel a bit better. With that, my dear friends and family, as always, have something good. I definitely will. We'll see you later. And as always, be safe.